Welcome back to the Daily Dribble podcast, guys. As always, I'm your host, Nick Zammit. Here joining me for a little morning episode, Mr. Lee Hancock.
What's going on, guys? Lee here.
Mate, the early bird gets the worm, does it not?
Kind of feels weird going back to morning ones. But
Are you more of a night creature or a morning?
Night creature. In terms of podcasts, I'm an afternoon guy, but these ones are keeping us away.
That's it. Indeed. We'll get to them in one moment there. Also joining us, Mr. Roe Hancock. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, not too bad, Nick. How are we?
Mate, yourself, morning or night goer?
Still wiping the sleep out of me eyes, to be honest. But no, going all right. Looking forward to another episode.
Absolutely. A big episode in store today. Before we get to it, guys, a big shout out to Shine. Now, for any of our YouTube viewers out there, you may see us there, our beverage of choice on today's episode. A big thank you for the hookup from the team there. We're super appreciative and just absolutely loving the drinks they've supplied us with. We might have a little more to mention about that hopefully next week. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. But nevertheless, a big thank you to Shine for the hookup for today's episode.
Absolutely. God, they're delicious.
They are tremendous.
They are good.
I'm really looking forward to hopefully discussing a little more about them next week and the following weeks with any luck.
Yep. Sounds good.
Guys, big episode today. Before we get into it though, continue to stay up to date with all of our socials, guys. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok. Drop those subscribes, drop those likes, follows, do all that good stuff. We really appreciate all the continued support. We're gaining bit by bit closer to 2,000 followers on Instagram, so that'll certainly be a nice little, I guess, a little boost to the ego there, a nice little milestone to hit. So,
what are we going to do to celebrate when we hit 2K? Game of 2K?
Yeah, it seems only logical. So, guys, continue to hit that follow. We really do appreciate all the support. Now, today's episode, big one in store. They're all big. I'm a broken record on that front. We're going to recap a couple of quick odds and ends. We've seen enough of the season to kind of, I guess, make quite, I guess, strong, informed decisions about teams, where they're at, who's underperforming, who's overperforming, should I say.
Absolutely.
Today, though, we're going to look at a couple of teams who have kind of underdelivered so far. And I think the catalyst for maybe sparking these teams up the ladder could be a trade. So we've once again fired up our friend, the old trade machine, and we're going to pose a couple of trades for some of these underperforming teams that may elevate them back into playoff or title contention.
And there's been a heap of those teams, hasn't there?
There's been many.
About 6 or 7 teams who are really underperforming. So interested to hear what ideas you guys have.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that. We'll also recap a couple of notes from the week that's been across the NBA. So without further ado, Lee, take us away with an odds and ends on your front then.
I've just got the odds and ends that has pretty much come out, and it's been the general consensus of things in terms of Russ and the Lakers. Obviously, he hasn't performed as well as we'd like so far. And it's coming more into light that if he doesn't start to perform, a trade might be on the tables once we get to the, before the trade deadline.
Really? This seems just bizarre. Like, I know he's underperformed, but he's notorious for starting the season slow. I think the Lakers are 8-8, so 16 games in. It seems very premature to kind of jump to these conclusions, especially LeBron's been out for quite a period of this time. So we haven't had a great look at how those three all look together, AD, LeBron, and Russ.
Yeah.
So as a Lakers fan, I'm certainly not giving up on Russ as of yet. The signs are somewhat, they're not worrying, but it certainly hasn't been the ideal start. Yet I don't think we need to jump the gun that quickly.
Well, I don't reckon you guys have had a full strength team at all this year, have you?
No, even when LeBron was playing, we were missing Horton Tucker, we were missing Ellington. Yep. I don't think we've had our full complement of stars as of yet.
Has Kendrick Nunn played a game this year? Has he been out there?
Oh, gee, I don't think he's featured as of yet. So, that just goes to show, I think it is a little bit early to be jumping to these kind of potential trade murmurs.
I'm not saying that,
don't shoot the messenger.
Don't shoot the messenger. I think Russ still needs some time to prove himself, but so far, I don't like what I see.
Well, you know what might help change things for the Lakers' fortunes? A little stadium name change during the week. It was announced that the Staples Center, as of Christmas Day, will be renamed Crypto.com Arena. Now, this certainly caused quite a lot of debate across all avenues of social media and NBA fans alike. it's such a funny one because, for us growing up, like I think the name change from the Forum to Staples was, what was it, 1999?
Well, it didn't affect us at all.
No, but we've grown up and known, and as the Staples Centre, yet it does just show, I guess, like all stadiums, for the most part, all stadiums have a brand or company attached to them. And this is just, a sign that we're moving forward.
It's such a bad Christmas present to get, isn't it? On the 25th out of all days. Don't
all
do
days.
it to us.
Do you think it'll, like, I just don't like that. If it was crypto arena, I'd be like, that's kind of cool, but the .com ruins it for me.
The thing I hate about it, and I haven't read into it at all, is that it's probably to do with money.
Oh, it is, absolutely. It's the largest sports naming rights deal in the US thus far. Yeah. So I think is it over 20 years, 10 or 20 years? It's $750 million, I believe. So quite a hefty amount there.
As people were saying throughout the week, though, it's not like we're going to be, naming it crypto.com in our daily conversations. I reckon it's going to be universally known as Staples Centre.
Do you think that'll change, though? Because I know often, like for Australian fans out there and AFL fans alike, there's been many a ground, like down here in Tasmania, we had Belrive Oval, and was probably half a decade ago, a little bit more now, that it changed to Blunston Arena, and that's caught on. Likewise, Subiaco Oval. Yeah. There's been many grounds around the world that have changed names. So
I just think there's a little bit of a difference between Staples and Blunston Arena.
That's fair. That's fair.
No, who knows?
I think there's only one probably stadium or arena that's probably safe from being renamed, and Madison Square Garden.
MSG.
I think everything else is probably a candidate for being swooped up and renamed. Yeah. Excellent. Another piece from me, just a little, a kind of a somber note here for the 76ers. They've had a torrid time with Joel Embiid being out, injuries, COVID protocols alike, but their assistant, Dave Yeager, he'll be away for the team for several weeks. During the week, it was announced he'll be undergoing chemo and radiation treatment for a form of cancer on his head and neck. Certainly wish him all the best on that front. It's a really difficult situation to be in. I think a report he gave is a 90% cure rate.
But it's still concerning.
It is concerning, but it's Dave Yeager, the 76ers assistant coach there. So, and it does just make note, especially for guys out there, just a quick little health point. Like we kind of don't swallow our pride too often, but, things like prostate cancer and things, just going and getting checkups. It's something we should all do. And, mental health as well, speaking up, it really is important. And things like this, you need to get on top of early and, stay on top of your health, because our bodies are temples, aren't they, Ro?
They are, as you would know, Nick.
Indeed.
Very good care.
Very good care. A well-oiled machine. Anything else from you, lads?
I just wanted to say
I've got a few more.
It's coming more into light that DeMar DeRozan and the Lakers, that was pretty much a done deal. I just wanted to say that. I think he was talking on some podcast or some interview or something. That was a done deal. Lakers are on a bad run in terms of all this stuff.
And DeRozan's near top 5 MVP candidate at the moment. So that's it's certainly a bitter pill to swallow on that front. I would have loved having DeRozan lighted up from the mid-range.
Even Lowry was a name who was spoken about going to the Lakers, but plenty of time to turn it around, Nick. Indeed. A couple of injuries I'll rattle through here. Probably leading the Rookie of the Year race at the minute, Evan Mobley, he will be out for 2 to 4 weeks with a right elbow sprain. So far, he's been putting up 14.5 points, 8 rebounds, 2.5 assists. So as a big blow to the Cavs, they're currently without Sexton as well, and they're in a little bit of a slide after their red-hot start to the season. And for Mobley himself, it's less than ideal timing because, as I said, he was leading I would say probably the front runner for the Rookie of the Year race. Yeah. Scotty Barnes, probably a close second. He'll no doubt fall back a bit now after this injury.
Yeah, I would think so. So hopefully a quick recovery there.
I mean, LaMelo didn't last year. He was out for weeks on weeks. I think it was like 7 or 8 weeks in the end.
Yeah.
And he won.
Yeah, he came home like a freight train, didn't he? Also, a guy who has really struggled with injury over the course of his career so far, Deandre Hunter. He'll be out for 2 months with a tendon injury to his right wrist. Now, for the Hawks, it's not too much of a concern given their depth, but nevertheless for him, a guy who's really trying to assert himself in the league, make a name for himself, get a payday, he just can't stay on the court at the moment. So certainly hope for his sake he can, get healthy and find some consistent playing time. So, yeah, big blow there. Guys, we'll move it. Actually, I've got one more piece that came to light this morning. Now, forgive me, I'm going to pull up my phone and get the actual quote here. Where is it? Sorry.
You wouldn't want to misquote someone.
No. The quote's gone missing.
Why are you going? Me and Ro went and saw the Jack Jumpers game.
Oh.
What was our thoughts?
It is one of the best things to happen down in Tasmania for some time in terms of bringing everyone together and having our own team. It's it was an incredible experience, and we'll have to head back along there throughout the year.
Saw a friend of the show, Vic Law. He was
Vic Law
down there.
Vic Law.
Vic Law and Taz.
Tell you what, I'm absolutely buzzing for the NBL season. I might hold my point for a moment that I had and just speak on the NBL just for a second here. Now, the Jack Jumpers, they went down in their opening game 79-89 against the Bullets. Not a bad showing at all for their first hit out. They were really in the game, but they played their second stringers and gave a few minutes at the end. In a game they could have won, they gave it to the kind of reserve players. So, you certainly don't feel deflated by that loss, but then came up 81-66 against the Cairns Taipans in game 2.
Huge.
Just quickly, a throwback to that Bullets game, the first game. Did you guys see that Josh Adams dunk?
Josh Adams, he's one of the most electric players I've seen.
He's a freak.
Yeah.
He pretty much jumped over the guy, and he's just an absolutely must-watch player. He's probably one of the most exciting players in the league, I would say.
He's a highlight reel for sure.
And that's basing it off after like 1 or 2 games.
What he reminds me of, and I don't know if Lee had the same opinion, but when I was watching him in our win the other day, he runs around like an early J.R. Smith. He's got that outside shot, but geez, he's athletic and he walks around with so much swagger as well. Yeah. He's just, I don't know, he's going to be a guy who gets bums on seats for the Jack Jumpers this year, I reckon.
Who's your favourite player on the Jack Jumpers?
Him. It's hard to argue anyone else but him.
Clinty boy. Clint.
Actually, I shout out Mikhail McIntosh. He came into Intersport during the week. I was having I just gave him a bit of a talk. I said, mate, you guys looked pretty good the other day. And he's like, yeah, we've got a game tonight too. It's like, excellent, mate. Best of luck. Looking very sharp. Big unit. Big unit. Yeah. So the Jack Jumpers are making moves. On the Jack Jumpers front, before I move on, yesterday we had the leadership group announced, the vice captain for the season, Jared Weeks, and the captain voted in unanimously by the playing group, Clint Steindl. No doubt about it. Certainly he comes from, the Wildcats, that culture is just infectious over there, and he's brought it over with him. And just, it was probably like the piece that really got the ball rolling for us, getting him on board. Fantastic move for the culture of the team and just the playing group as a whole, to have someone stand up and really take the reins off the court and on the court. So,
and he provides so much stability to our team. I think the other night we saw him come off the bench, which I actually thought he was a starter, but he comes off the bench and he brings so much leadership and stability, and we just look so much better with him out there.
I tell you what, it'll be interesting. There's still a few games to go and they're still ironing things out, but what the actual starting 5 will look like. But if you can bring him off the bench as just a sharpshooter from 3, that leadership can control the second unit.
So handy.
Tell you what, we're in good shape. It's coming around quickly. December 6th, I believe, is the opening round for the regular season. Still a few more games to go in the NBL Blitz, but loving what we're seeing so far. The Jack Jumpers are here. Just quickly, what did you guys think of the arena, the new MyState Bank Arena?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is when you go to MyState Bank Arena, there's not a bad seat in the house. Like, I reckon I've said it before the podcast, but you could be sitting in the bleachers and you'd still be quite close to the court. It's not to say it's a tiny arena or anything, but it's very well set out. And all the Jack Jumpers fans there the other night, it was electric, particularly when we were up and about and had a few, stops and big buckets. It's a great place to be.
The atmosphere's electric, Roy.
Join the march.
Guys, last point from me in odds and ends. This came to light this morning. A guy who plied his trade last season in the NBL, made the move to the Pelicans. Didi Lozada, he's been suspended for 25 games without pay for violating the NBA's health and wellness protocol, the anti-drug program. Now, I'm just going to read this just so I don't get it wrong. It's only come to light just early today. He tested positive for testosterone and androstenedione. So, in a statement he issued, the 22-year-old He took an off-season trip to Brazil. In consultation with a nutritionist recommended to him, he kind of unknowingly ingested these unknown substances. So the quote from him: "When I was in Brazil during the off-season, I consulted a nutritionist who recommended I take some vitamins and supplements. Because she has a history of working with professional athletes, I would never have imagined that any of those substances would be banned or could be contaminated. Once I learned of the positive test, I immediately cooperated completely with the league and union to help all of us understand what exactly has occurred." So, it's not as if he's just blatantly gone out and tried to abuse the anti-drug program. A bit of blow for him as he's, 22 years old. He's made the move from the NBL, trying to find his feet in the league. Hopefully the way the Pelicans are going should their season, which is off a cliff as it is, but, they shut down some of these big name players. He would get extended game time, but 25 games without pay.
I don't know how much I believe of that quote. No matter if he did it on purpose or not, you need to be looking into these things a bit more and just not, swallow any pill you take. Where's your agent researching, what vitamins you're taking?
I tell you what, if I consulted with a pretty well-renowned nutritionist, I'm
in Brazil.
Yeah, very well.
Like that's a big red flag. Where's the
red flag? The
This is becoming a weekly occurrence.
Yeah. No, I would you willy-nilly throw down a couple of pills?
No, not from Brazil.
To be honest, I think my opinion on it is I think it sounds like it's an innocent mistake. But in saying that, when you're in that position, when you're in a professional sporting league, you have to do your research.
Your body's a temple, isn't it, Ro? You've got to look after it.
It is. And I just think, it's not going to cost the Pelicans because they're dog poo as it is, but...
It hurts for him. It hurts for him. So
for
hopefully we see 25 games on the sidelines there. He returns refreshed and rejuvenated. By that point, I think the Pelicans will probably have shut down their season. So hopefully we get to see a little bit more of Didi Lozada. Lads, I reckon that wraps us up for odds and ends. Yeah. Now, as I said at the start of the episode, we're going to pose a couple of trades here. We've fired up the trade machine during the week. Well, I tell you what a love-hate relationship we have with that. But we're going to pose a couple of trades that we think would benefit teams that are underperforming so far.
Let me just say, when you proposed this idea in the group chat, you said, I thought you meant, and I've addressed my trades as this, to teams to push them into actual real contentions with the Nets and teams like that.
But aren't they already there? Oh, yeah. So you mean these teams are underperforming to get them up to that level?
Said examples, Hawks, Heat, and Bucks. So I've gone with teams like that to put.
Don't think I said the Heat. They're top of the Eastern Conference now, mate.
You did say Heat. Did I get the message up?
Yeah, please. Do. Refer to the tape. Here we go.
No,
I think I said Bucks. Bucks and Hawks. So teams that are down the standings a little bit at the moment and might need a push.
You said Celtics.
Yeah. So can I have an apology?
No, but
no, mate, you're throwing the gun around. It's innocent until proven guilty.
I'm just saying, my trades don't revolve around teams bottom of the conferences.
No, we're not talking about OKC and Detroit and things like that, but teams that should be higher.
Okay, there's our 3-minute clarification.
Glad we're all on the same page now. My goodness, I might kick us off after that. So my first trade is it's a bit of a big one here. It's a 3-team trade.
3 teams.
So process this.
What a mastermind you are.
Oh my goodness, look out.
You really do need to listen and process it, especially when they're 3.
3-team ones are absolute mind trips.
Let's see what you've mustered up here.
The Minnesota Timberwolves receive Ben Simmons, Robert Williams, Matisse Thybulle, and a 2022 first-round pick. Oh. So the big pieces, Ben Simmons, Robert Williams, Matisse Thybulle. Boston receive Cole Anthony Towns. Oh, okay. And the 76ers receive Jaylen Brown and Pat Beverly.
Goodness me. Let me just read that on paper.
Just have a look at that on paper. There you go.
So we're giving up Rob Williams and Jaylen Brown essentially for
Cole Anthony Towns.
Oh, gee. It would address the big man issue, that's for sure.
And with that, you're probably looking to make a move to probably get rid of Al Horford as well, if possible.
Yeah.
Because he'll become redundant, I reckon. You've got Cantor there.
And then you've got Ben Simmons. We were speaking about the other day. Ben Simmons needs to go to a team where the fans don't necessarily care that much. Minnesota, that's probably one of the teams that you'd go to.
You got offense still there with Anthony Edwards, D'Lo, and you just need someone who can lock because they just give up points. They need someone to lock down on that defensive end.
And 76ers get that electric shooter in Jaylen Brown.
And on the defensive end as well.
Pat Bev as well. Jeez, I actually don't mind this, to be honest with you. I'm hesitant to get rid of both Jaylen Brown and Rob Williams, but when you're getting Cat in return, it's a pretty handy addition.
He maybe it's because the Timberwolves have been poor, maybe because he's missed a bit of time, whatever the case. But he is he's a generational talent, Karl Anthony Towns, and I think maybe we undervalue him a little bit. I know I certainly do, but he, in the right situation, has all the capabilities to shoot to the moon.
He's capable of being 27 and 10 type player, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're getting rid of Cat, bringing in Ben Simmons, Robert Williams, and Matisse Thybulle, what direction are you heading in if you're Minnesota Timberwolves?
For the Timberwolves,
is this like a rebuild or building around Ant or what?
It's not a rebuild. It's kind of better serves them at the moment in terms of their age timeline. They're all synced up. Ben Simmons is still young. It helps them on the defensive end. Robert Williams is really starting to grow and develop and kind of fills that big man void. But then it gives them better. They're just going to be better on both ends of the floor.
Robert Williams is good, but I don't think that fills the big man void, especially if they're getting rid of Cat. Like, that's going to hurt them a lot. If they're better on both ends of the floor, though, I think Cat, they're letting in a bucket load of points with Cat. Yeah. So I think they just need someone. Ben Simmons is one of, if not the best defender in the league when he's playing.
Yeah,
I think he really addresses that. I don't think you need a top tier talent center. I think Robert Williams is more than fine, more than adequate, and he'll continue to grow and develop.
So which team does it favor more? Because I'm looking at a few of them and I'm going, geez, like Minnesota, that's pretty much setting up moves for their future success.
I think probably the 76ers is the team we haven't mentioned because they're playing okay at the minute as it is without Ben Simmons. Yeah. So they're practically getting an all-star player for nothing in a sense. Yeah. In a sense, Simmons isn't playing anyway. So
no, 76ers for sure.
But I think all teams out of this come out probably better off.
I'd be happy if I was a Minnesota fan.
As a Celtics fan though, Roy, how do you feel?
Yeah, it certainly addresses the big man issue, I guess you could say, getting back a legitimate superstar in Karl Anthony Towns. Really don't like the idea of getting rid of Jaylen Brown. And Rob Williams has actually become one of my favourite Celtics, believe it or not, this year. He's been really good.
The best of a bad bunch.
Best of a very bad bunch. But
with Celtics, you're going all in for a championship with this team?
Well, Cat's still young enough as it is. Like his and Tatum's timeline is pretty in sync. And it just, I think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, as I think I've said a couple of times on the podcast already this season, just feels like they've almost plateaued as a duo.
Yeah,
I think this will help reinvigorate them. And as I said, with this, you can probably maybe get rid of Al Horford in another deal, or you can, I think this might be the catalyst for a few other moves, but bringing in Cat, we've said their biggest need is a center. We spoke about Miles Turner. We've spoken about Vooch. Cat certainly surpasses well and truly both of them. So
Cat is that number 2 behind JT?
Yep.
Yeah.
Or 1A, 1B.
What defense do the Celtics have then?
Well, Cat's all right, isn't he?
Cat's
they have Marcus Smart in the guard, but I'm thinking more big man.
I think Cat's more than adequate. He's not the slowest by any means at all. His presence, size, and length, I think, will certainly fill the void.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's go and move ahead. Big 3-team trade. Set the bar high.
2-team trade.
Basic bitch.
First team like yours, we've got the 76ers. Second team, the Spurs.
Okay.
So the Spurs get, obviously, Ben Simmons. He's a trade piece, and Isaiah Joe. So not a massive name. Okay. But the 76ers get DeJounte Murray, Derek White, Devin Vassell, and 2 future first rounds.
Right.
Rightio. So,
yeah.
Okay. So if I was the Spurs, I'd be very hesitant to get rid of DeJounte Murray.
Who's going to score? The only bloke who's scoring on their team at the minute are Murray and White. If you get rid of both of them, who's going to actually score for them? Who Who are the names who will score?
You know what? I really did this trade just to get DeJounte Murray out of Antonio.
You sent him to a big franchise.
And I think for the 76ers as well, I don't think Daryl Morey, I don't reckon that package is enough. Murray's, I think, 27 as it is. And I don't think he's a piece that's going to greatly enhance them.
I think Louis insane.
He's good where he is because he's kind of burdened with doing everything. But I don't think either team takes this.
Okay.
Look, so how much do the 76ers, let's just speak about this for a minute, I guess. How much do the 76ers improve with the addition of DeJounte Murray, Derek White, who are
Devin
Not
a lot.
I think it's very handy for them to pick up, obviously, DeJounte Murray, but do I think they're going to be elevated into legitimate championship contention? I don't think so. Keep in mind, I rate DeJounte Murray very highly, but I think Lee, as he said before, he's just tried to get him out of San Antonio.
Forced his way out. I don't think any of their values that high.
Okay, how much do you think DeJounte Murray's impact diminishes when he's on a team where he doesn't have to do everything?
Quite significantly.
You think so?
I think so.
I don't.
If he's not the main guy, how much?
He's literally doing everything for this team in a team where there's no expectations whatsoever. I think if you combine him with Embiid, you combine him with Harris, Danny Green, Seth Curry, I think he'll still be a dog on defense, but I don't think you're going to see him. He's not going to have the ball in his hands anywhere near as much, nowhere near as much. And I think his greatest asset, as good as he is off ball, I think when he's on the ball, he looks the best, and he's just not going to have it in his hands as much.
That is fair. Okay, there you go.
DeJounte.
Free DeJounte, look out. All right. Ro, what have you got for your first trade, mate?
Okay, so I'll just read off the old notes as well. So my trade involves the Boston Celtics, my boys. I had to figure something out to try and get us on the right direction. So I've got Josh Richardson, Enes Kanter, and Hernan Gomez to Sacramento for Buddy Hield and Marvin Bagley the third. So let me just explain the rationale behind this. So I think Boston are far too reliant on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown when he's healthy to provide scoring. And also, when our bench comes on, we seem to just lose the plot, and it's a real weak point. So I reckon bringing Buddy Hield, who, and I think I saw this throughout the week, he's got the most 3-pointers in his first 200 games or something like that. I can't remember the exact stat, but he's a lights out from beyond the arc. So I think that's another option to rely on offense. Takes a lot of pressure away from our main two guys. Marvin Bagley, I think his value is just at an all-time low because it hasn't worked out at all at Sacramento.
It's been a disaster.
So I don't think they could be asking for too much for him in return. And then I guess for Sacramento, we've got Josh Richardson. The addition of Josh Richardson at the Celtics hasn't worked. It just hasn't.
Has he been playing?
Yeah.
I've not heard any mention of him whatsoever, nor Hernan Gomez.
This proves my point. Hernan Gomez as well. He's only played a few games, but again, hasn't really worked out the way we thought it would.
How do you think it was going to work out?
Well, I thought that they'd be serviceable role players in all honesty, but they just haven't done anywhere near enough to help. Enes Kanter, we're giving him very minimal minutes for a guy who had a few 20 and 20 games last year. I think he provides a little bit of value for a team who's willing to use him. So I just think that adding another legitimate scorer to help out the Celtics will go a long way in terms of rising back up the standings. I know probably the big man issue is the main sore point. But adding Marvin Bagley, a change of scenery, who knows? Like he might flourish at the Celtics. So I think you're addressing that a little bit, but you're also adding another legitimate scorer, a guy who could probably come off the bench and play in that 6-man role that he's been playing for the Kings in Buddy Hield. Settles the second unit a bit. So I don't know. I'd be interested. I'd be more than interested if this trade was rumored
I reckon
about.
the Celtics definitely take it.
Yeah.
I think a lot more so than the Kings are wanting to take it. But I think for the Celtics, it's just like he's an absolute bright spark off the bench. He's been phenomenal this season.
For sure.
And likewise, I think he's still young. What was he? Is the number 2 or 3 pick Bagley? And was he number 2 or 3?
Did he? Early.
And he got taken before both Luka and Trae Young.
Yeah, might have been number 2 because it was Ayton, Bagley. Yeah. So let's say that for the purpose of conversation. But I think, at his age, you don't want to give up on him. No. I reckon he's still got potential.
Yeah.
So I think for the Celtics, again, a change of scenery can do a world of wonders for a player. And, you've got some leadership and your veteran presence there. You've got a strong culture and setup there.
For sure.
Brad Stevens, all from top to bottom, I think they might be able to help him grow. And likewise having, I tell you what, buddy, look out for the Kings though. I don't know. I don't know what the team as a whole. I don't know where they're going or what they're doing. I don't think this benefits them too much.
Yeah, would they put Enes Kanter in a starting role because he's been more.
Well, they got Rashawn Holmes at the minute.
Rashawn Holmes has been going.
It's been going,
to be honest. But the thing I like about this trade is just a new change of scenery for everyone. All of these players just aren't fitting in where they are, and they're due to go somewhere where they can be.
Josh Richardson, what a disappointment he's been since when he was with the Heat.
Yeah,
went to the Mavs, did nothing. He's gone to the Celtics, and it's been a non-event.
For a little while there, he was renowned as being a 3-and-D type player, but he's no 3 and little D. So,
come on, man.
No, it's a red flag.
Come on, man.
I can't get it out every 10 seconds.
No. I just want Bagels to go somewhere where he can thrive.
Do you still believe in him?
I still believe in him. I think it's the fact that we can't see anything at all with the Kings giving him like 3 minutes a game.
As for the Kings as well, a team with so much hope going nowhere.
You just don't know. Even if they got these couple of players from Boston, what direction are they going in?
It just adds another few role players to their team, I guess. But in saying that, I do have my Celtics hat on both figuratively and literally at the moment. So, it would benefit the Celtics and get them, I think, going in the right direction. But at the same time, I think it makes sense.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Round 1 in the books, lads. I'll kick off round 2. Kind of annoyed that I've gone the same player as the focal point in my trade.
Not Ben.
Yeah. And I didn't want to, but this is a trade I think that could spark a bit of chat.
Well, it's a pretty relevant one, isn't it?
Because it is.
It's a guy who will be going, who will be leaving. So what options have we got?
We've got the 76ers getting the man they wanted most, Damian Lillard.
Oh, wow.
The Blazers received Ben Simmons, Tyrese Maxey, a 2022 first-round pick and 2 first-round pick swaps. Now, just for the lack of the key piece has been Simmons, Maxey, and the first-round pick in 2022. Here we go. So it blows it up completely. Now, on the Blazers side, in my eyes, they defensively have been poor the last couple of years. I was really hoping that this year under Chauncey Billups, they'll tighten up a little bit. Been incremental improvements. Larry Nance, I thought, was going to be their savior. Had a good game the other week, in fairness, and really helped in their win over the Bulls. It was, I believe, once he came on, they turned what was quite a big deficit into a win over the top of the table Bulls at the time. Yet they are still not the defensive team or where they need to be.
No.
So I think Simmons more than addresses that. If you place him, you look at their team at the minute, the way it's constructed with McCollum, Powell, Covington, bear in mind, both of them are struggling. I think it's just a form slump. They'll come all right. Nurkic can stretch the floor as well. But they've got enough shooters that it opens up the lane for Simmons to just attack and do his best work and actually be not a defensive, an offensive liability, should I say. So I think it gives him a bit of freedom to express himself more. Yeah. And on the defensive end, it just is nothing but beneficial for them. They just, any defensive presence is key. And as I said before in our previous trade, one of, if not the best defensive player in the league when he's on his game, certainly addresses that. Yeah. For the 76ers, this is the guy they want. They get him They paired alongside Embiid, Harris, Green, Curry. That is just lights out scoring across the board. And I think elevates them to, the way they're currently constructed, they're not in that top tier of championship contenders. You add Dame, though, he's had a slower start to this season, but he's ranked as one of the top 75 greatest players in NBA history. So it's not going to last. With the way that team's constructed, you put him in the fold. And for the 76ers, you're not really giving up a lot. Simmons, who's not playing, Maxey, who's been good this year, in fairness, and a first-round pick for next season. So,
but you've got to
you're going all in.
You've got to get rid of these type of players to get really good players like Damian
Absolutely.
Lillard. So I'd do that in a heartbeat. Goodness me, that 76ers team would be absolutely lights out from beyond the arc, wouldn't it?
I mean, I think 76ers win this trade. In terms of the Blazers, not so much right now, but Dame is the guy who puts points on the board.
CJ has when Dame's been out, though. CJ steps into that role and looks really good.
Every now and again. Is he capable of being that main scoring option, though?
I think so. And I think they've got enough other scorers. We've seen, I've gone blank on his name, off the bench this year. He's just
Simons.
Yes, no, Simon.
Is he even there?
No, he's with the Raptors. No, come on, who's the player I'm thinking of? I've just gone absolutely blank on who it is. Not Simons. Anyway, nevertheless, no, I can't think now. I've just gone blank.
He's that tall guy who plays basketball.
Yeah, that one. But I think they've got more than enough scoring, and the defensive end's where they're struggling. So I think CJ will kind of relish in that role as being the number one scoring threat.
If it was Dame for Simmons, I'd say no, but Tyrese Maxey really does push this deal over the line if the Blazers were to say yes.
Blazers would not do a straight swap, I don't think.
Obviously not, but I'm just saying, like, Tyrese Maxey, anywhere he goes, he's valuable. I'm guessing he'd come off the bench, but he would make a massive impact.
Could he could even, I reckon CJ could go to the 3 almost, and Tyrese Maxey could play at the 2, because he's shown that when he gets minutes, he can. I picked him up in my fantasy team,
putting up buckets
off the wire, and he's been incredible for me. I think he's got plenty of potential, Tyrese Maxey. So I actually like this trade a lot for both teams, and very much want Dame. As much as I love loyalty in the NBA, I also like a change of scenery when it's required.
And it feels like it's run its course now. The Dame CJ backcourt. You can only flog a dead horse for so long, can't you?
Yeah, exactly right. So I actually really like that trade. I think both teams are advantaged in some way or another.
Brilliant. Lee, what do you got?
Okay. Just listen me out and don't jump to conclusions really quick.
I'm probably going to jump to a quick conclusion, but go.
I think it's pretty fair. Okay. This is a two-team trade involving the Pistons and the Wizards. So the Pistons get Rui Hachimura, Davis Bertans, Buddy Beetle, a future first and a future second, and the Wizards get Jeremy Grant. Yeah, what are our initial thoughts?
Let's read it on paper.
You're getting rid of Birdie Beetle's, $16 million 4-year contract. That's a big contract you're taking off your hands.
So the Wizards get Grant.
You're giving Bradley Beal an incentive to not only stay, but to push them into actual contention.
So at the moment for the Wizards, who's in the 3 spot /4 spot?
Kuz and like.
So who are they playing? They're playing starting 5. You've got Bill, Gafford.
No, you've got Dinwiddie, Bill.
What do you mean? No, I was still going.
Oh yeah, okay, go.
No, you're on it. You're on it.
It's a 2-man.
I wasn't doing.
Dinwiddie, Bill, KCP. I don't even think you have Gafford. You have Kuz and Montrez.
Oh, Gafford has been. Trez started the other day, but mainly Gafford.
I actually like Jeremy Grant, and I think in the right situation, he's a really serviceable player. I'm just trying to think of how he fits into the Wizards team.
Yeah.
As it currently stands.
My thing that I was going to say, you'd take KCP, you'd put him on the bench, and you'd put either Kuz or Jeremy Grant at the 4 and the 3.
I would do that because I think, friend of the show, don't get me wrong, friend of the show, but KCP he's probably run his course as a starter. And I think he might provide a bit more electricity off the bench. He's a guy who can knock down a few quick threes. We've seen it throughout the last few years of his career. And he hasn't been too impressive this year. Whereas I think Jeremy Grant provides far more stability in terms of production on the offensive end.
And then for the Pistons, like, you don't really need Jeremy Grant anymore. Not that he's not serviceable to them, but you're more looking to build around Cade Cunningham. And not only do you get a veteran sniper in Bertie Beadle and a formidable big man in Rui Hachimura, but you get trade pieces and supporting pieces.
Yeah.
You're looking skeptical, Nick, and I want to know what your thoughts are.
I don't know. I just don't know for the Wizards. It's a tough one because I like Rui.
Yeah.
I think he's, out at the moment with injury, but I really think he is the ultimate build as an NBA player. I love what he can do on the defensive end, his size and just his build. He's just an incredible freak athlete. And I think there's still enough to mold and work with there. I don't think with the way, even with Bill's slow start to the season, the way the Wizards have looked is quite really competent. So I don't think there's too much need to shake things up yet and sacrifice their future just to get back Grant, who I think was phenomenal last season, yet was it an outlier? He's been more quiet this season. Is it sustainable?
Well, that's the thing. You need to. He's probably got his trade value at an all-time high coming off last season.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I think they're giving up too much. The Wizards.
Yeah.
You're getting rid of Bertans, Hachimura. Bertans is hit and miss, but on his day is just lights out. What was it? A future first and a future second.
That would be my only concern.
It's
now that you mentioned
big package for Grant. I think.
Yeah. I think if you're looking at Grant of last year, certainly you think it could be worth contemplating. But Grant of this year, he's quietened down a bit. And I think could you do a straight swap between maybe Rui and Jeremy Grant?
I don't think the contracts would work. I think Grant's got quite a hefty contract.
Yeah. Okay.
It's 20 million.
Yeah.
And I think Ruiz is not a lot. It's like 5 million.
So, there you go. You'd have to make something work yet. I think with the way they're going, got momentum on their side. From all reports I've heard, the locker room morale's good with the Wizards. Yeah. Things are going well. I wouldn't take this if I was them. And I don't think for Detroit, I think
they take it if you're Detroit.
Well, I think Detroit would take it, but I think I kind of like Grant being there now, just to take a little bit of the pressure off Cade. Like, he doesn't have the whole weight of the world on his shoulders. There's not too many scoring options there, so they do.
That's where you flourish though, when you got the ball in your hands. And that's what
you do, but he can't be putting up 30 points a night.
You can if Jeremy Grant isn't there.
But
you'd be flat if you got traded to Detroit, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. God. Yeah. Put your hands up for Detroit.
Really. Not really if you're in it for the long run.
Yeah.
No, I just think it's not a destination.
It is not a destination. No, Ro, what have you got for our third and final trade in round 2 here, mate?
Third and final trade involves the Indiana Pacers and the Toronto Raptors. Now, it's more regarding the Indiana Pacers because they've had a really ordinary start to the season, sitting at 13th in the East, won 6 games, lost 10 in their first 16.
Yeah.
My trade would be getting rid of Karis LeVert and Justin Holiday and swapping them for Pascal Siakam and Goran Dragic. So my rationale behind this is, as for Karis LeVert, I don't think Indiana Pacers, with the assertions of Chris Duarte, necessarily need him at the 2 spot, because I think either way you look at it, one of those guys are coming off the bench. And if it's, I think if I was an Indiana fan, I'd personally prefer Chris Duarte going forward.
And you've still got enough scoring with TJ Warren to come back in as well.
Exactly right. And a few weeks ago, we also spoke about Scotty Barnes and his ability to, lead the Toronto Raptors and whether it's something that, might happen sooner rather than later. So I think Pascal Siakam could be a piece to step into that void that's been left by TJ Warren. I know TJ Warren is very likely to come back, and when he comes back, it'll be interesting to see how those two fit. But I think Pascal Siakam's a guy who could play at either the 3 or 4. He's quite a versatile player, actually.
At the 3, you reckon?
Yeah, he could play at the small forward.
That was my only bit. I don't think Pascal could play at the 3. I think 4 is
4 or
perfect.
5.
I think
Why
4
don't you think you haven't you watched many Toronto games?
He hasn't got the build for it to
Not that
play
many.
through.
Have you seen as many of them as you have the Wizards
Yeah,
game?
80%.
No, I for anyone listening last week, I do my work very well. I think basically the Indiana Pacers are giving up someone who still presents value in Karis LeVert and Justin Holiday, who's been starting.
Just getting enough though for
That's what
Siakam.
I'm thinking.
Like, is that enough?
Well, it sort of depends what each team are after. Like, would you rather give up someone who presents higher value but doesn't fit into your team as well than someone who presents lower value and fits into your team and might provide you with more wins going forward?
Can you write that down? That was tripping my brain out. No, I'm with you. I'm with you, but I think they could get more.
The Toronto Raptors.
I think the Raptors could get more for Siakam.
More in saying you'd go to the length of trading like Miles Turner.
I don't necessarily know if you. Well, now granted, that might have a little bit more credibility, maybe.
But the thing is, I think with Pascal Siakam, again, it's probably looking at him over the last few years as opposed to this year. Like, I think the value that he provides is in his current form, which isn't as high as it used to be.
Must be a lot of money just thinking about that, because Dragic is on 15 to 18 million and Siakam's like 30 plus, isn't he?
Yeah. Look, none of these trades went through the trade machine. They just went through the brain machine. So I don't know about salaries or anything, but let's just have a think about it.
Yeah, let's have a think about it.
Too.
So you think so essentially the summary of this is that Toronto Raptors should be getting more back.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
100%. And yeah.
Chucking TJ McConnell there.
A little stocking stuffer there. I think the Pacers are in a prime position to make a move, and I reckon LeVert could be up for grabs. I reckon Turner could be up for grabs. I think you look at Brogdon being untouchable. You look at Sabonis being untouchable, and I don't know if TJ Warren. You still want to see him back because it feels like an eternity since we last saw him.
Since the bubble Warren.
Since the bubble Warren against Bubble Mitchell. What an absolute barnstormer that was! But
incredible.
My only thing with this is if the Pacers are going to go after someone, I wouldn't be going after Siakam, especially for a 3.
Okay, that's a valid point. And my main idea when I was thinking about this is if I was the Indiana Pacers, I wouldn't want to be. I would definitely be suggesting getting rid of Karis LeVert because I really love what I've seen from Chris Duarte when he's been in that starting role.
So wait, just to clarify, in this hypothetical world where this all goes ahead, someone's on drugs and says, let's make it happen. No, come on, man. But are you starting Turner, Sabonis, and Siakam?
That's what Rose was saying. He would go to the 3.
But you're starting all 3 of them.
I mean, you'd have to because none of them are bad enough to come off the bench. But that's why I'm saying you wouldn't go after Siakam.
But I think because Sabonis needs rest, every other player needs rest. Yeah. I think he's the thing that I'm trying to get across with Siakam is I think he's a really versatile player. I think he can probably play 3 positions. So when Sabonis goes to the bench, why can't Siakam head to the power forward position and still provide some stability in the big man?
God, that would look funny. You're starting 5 though and see all 3 of those tall timbers running around.
Today's NBA is so highly revolved around being versatile and playing multiple positions. And I actually think he's one of those players who can play in multiple positions.
I think they'd get crushed on like fast breaks.
Yeah.
But the other thing that's really sort of that probably wouldn't make it work long term is if they did keep TJ Warren, then it's just too many players sort of in similar positions, I think. So
yeah, I think their pace as a team, because Brogdon's not that quick. TJ Warren's coming back from extensive time out. Their pace, they would just have to be a very, very defensive-minded team, I think, which they would probably be good at with all 3 of those players. Probably. But offensively, I think it would be a lot more like actual play calling and sets as opposed to running off the rebounds and things of the kind.
Yeah, I'd be scared of also Siakam on defense if he's guarding a 3, especially. He's got one of those like just Ethiopian bodies, just the.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, go on.
I mean, black and lanky, pretty much is what I'm saying. He's just got one of those bodies. And that guarding what today's small forward, who have we got as some of the better small forwards?
No. No. Come on. But black and lanky.
I mean,
right.
Skinny, and like he's skinny too. Though.
No, he's not. He's built all right, isn't he?
No, he's not.
I just don't think they're getting back enough. You're giving up Dragic. I think his team in contention would like a backup point guard if they had the space. Yeah. You could get a bit more for him, and you put him with Siakam, who still certainly has many superstar potential. Don't think you're getting back enough. But
so maybe you're going after someone who's a pure small forward, as opposed to a guy who's probably like Siakam. No doubt he plays in the power forward position. That's his position. But I still think he could adapt, couldn't he?
Absolutely.
I'm really, in saying this, I am really disappointed of what Karis LeVert has brought to the table so far, which is pretty much not a lot. That you could say my DeJounte Murray trade. DeJounte Murray might end up like someone like Karis LeVert. Remember when LeVert was on Brooklyn and KD was out and Kyrie was out and he was bowling? That's why his trade value was so high. And he's come to the Pacers and done little to nothing. So
could a package be more fitted, just digressing slightly, be fitted there, the Spurs and Pacers? They need some offense, someone who's just, as you just said, when he was on Brooklyn, Karis LeVert can drop a 50 piece and just go off his absolute trolley. And you bring in Murray, who can do a bit of everything, can shore up on the defensive side, can play make a little bit with Brogdon, find those big men in the post there, like, ooh. But something to think about, a little bit of food for thought there. Lads, well done. I feel like I was only high on my trades there. I feel like a negative Nancy there. But no, I think any of these trades would certainly shake up these teams and certainly create a little bit of maybe a bit of a snowball effect within the league, possibly. But certainly had a lot of fun doing that. As we said, the trade machine is a love-hate relationship. I tell you what, if you ever want to get close to breaking a laptop, fire up the trade machine and just trying to punch in things and them not work. And
this is why I did not resort to the old trade machine this time around. It's too difficult. I encourage.
Could your brain process just on brain power alone? Could it process a 3-team trade run?
Absolutely not. No, that was out of the equation. So you've done well to fit in a few there, but no, the trade machine. They need to sort that out.
Absolutely. Guys, we're well and truly deep into the piece. We're going to do a bit of a speed round. The week that was, a recap, a couple of quick talking points here I've jotted down. Take them where you want. Anything you want to add, let's do it. Just quickly, Houston. Now, we spoke about slightly before we came onto air. They're garbage. There's no other way to put it. What are they now? 1-14? Here's the question I'll pose. Will they get 10 wins?
No, they're getting like 7 max.
7
wins. Yeah, that
7-75 is your record.
I think we're looking at this before the pod, weren't we, Nick? About the worst performing teams of all time in the regular season. What was the fewest amount of wins?
Well, it was the Bobcats in a shortened season in 2012. But it was the 86 76ers, and then after that, was it 2014 76ers where they went 10 wins.
I actually think they will creep just over 10 wins. I don't see them getting many more than that, to be perfectly
honest. Who are they beating,
though?
Even OKC made them look like chumps.
Yeah, but the thing with the NBA is it's like you do have those occasional games where, like we've seen it so far this season, like the team who shouldn't win somehow gets over the top. It just happens. But
and like a game tonight, for example, we've got it's probably just tipped off at the time of recording, but the Warriors against Detroit.
Yep.
Steph's sitting out, Draymond sitting out. You're throwing a couple of injuries on any given night, as you said. That's why we love the league. Any team can beat anyone.
Need to take into account Jalen Green's slow start too. Like I don't doubt that he will, rise up more.
You reckon?
Do you think he's going to be at this level for the rest of his career?
No, he's absolutely going to improve. But he, as highly as we touted him, there's certain things about his game that absolutely need to work on, and I think we overrated a little bit. His shot. It's a weird looking shot. Like he's got some mad elevation on this thing. It's coming down with snow on it.
It's really, now that I think about it, it's really hard to not buy into the draft advertisement and the draft mockery, you know. It's so hard to like pinpoint all these players that you actually think will play good. You just think that the 1, 2, and 3 are gonna really go off, but in most cases they're not. You look at Marvin Bagley. Like
absolutely.
It doesn't happen all the time.
And I mean, with the Houston Rockets as well, I'd like they'll be tanking, no doubt. Like that, they're building for the future. They'll want another really high draft pick. So I certainly don't think that they'll be overexerting themselves this season in order to finish maybe another spot higher in the standings.
You know who they need, and it just baffles me that he's not playing. John Wall. Like they need they don't have a point guard on this team.
No,
they don't have a point guard. They don't have any leadership. The bloke's getting paid $40 million for sitting on the sidelines. Get him on the court. Get him to help these younger guys. Jayshawn Tate, Jalen Green, Kevin Porter. You know, they just baffles me that he's not playing. But just quickly, let's set it. 10 wins. Yes or no, Lee?
If they do get 10, it'll be 10 and only 10. Nothing more.
For the pure fun and comedy of it, I'm saying no.
That would be funny. I will say yes, they'll get over it, but not by much.
Brilliant. During the week, we had 2 title favorites. Duke it out. Golden State against the Nets. The Warriors won this one 117-99. Steph played 29 minutes, dropped 37 points, went 9 of 14 from 3. God damn. What's been incredible is their just performance on both ends of the floor, offensively and defensively. They're, I think, number 1 offensively and 3 offensively and number 1 defensively, give or take.
Who defensively is playing well on the...
Draymond Green is probably DPOY at this point. He would be my favorite.
Gary Payton.
The glove junior on fire. Andrew Wiggins has been really impressive. Like he doesn't have to be the main guy. He looks great in a team where he's the number 3 or 4 option, getting paid like a number 1, but nevertheless. But just quickly, MVP talk. It's early, but we love it.
He's like
he showed it. He just absolutely just dismantled the Nets. KD probably they're jostling it out for that MVP race. But does this really firmly assert Steph?
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah.
My question is when James Wiseman come back, where's he going to fit in? He's going to come off the bench. You'd have to. You wouldn't want to ruin what you've already got.
Yeah, Looney's been solid.
Yeah.
It's scary to think though what this team is doing, and they're still to bring back one of the greatest shooters of all time as well in Klay Thompson.
Yep.
Tell you what, I'm loving it. I am like a Lakers fan, and I have high hopes still for them. I believe they're going to go all the way, but I'm all for the Warriors. They're just so fun. And in terms of viewership, I think they've had 2 of the top 3, 5 of the top 7 or something, 6 of the top 11 most viewed games. So people are really behind this team. Steph followed it up against the Cavs yesterday, 104-89, dropped 40 points. Just quickly, don't need to touch on this for too long, but they were down 13 heading into the last quarter against the Cavs. Yep. And I was like, God damn, what is going on? The fourth quarter, they outscored them 36-8.
Yeah, was watching.
And it was just a Curry masterclass.
It really does surprise me, though, to be honest, how well they're playing.
Yeah.
Like, why are they playing this well? I know they're like number 3 offensively, number 1 defensively, but like if you look from last year, how did that switch occur so suddenly? Just gelling together and meshing together.
Gelling together. We've seen the real big improvement of Jordan Poole. Yeah. Curry is he just makes others around him better. Even when his shot's not on, we've seen Andrew Wiggins go for a big game and lead the scoring, which didn't happen as much last season. Draymond Green looks more focused than ever. And as I said, he's probably leading the way for Defensive Player of the Year at the moment. Love this team. So fun.
I just feel like their swagger's back, to be honest.
It is.
I feel like...
Did you see that shot? Who was it against? Was it the Wizards? Who was it the other day? The ball when he turned around and just did the little point to the crowd.
That's
before the ball's gone in. It's just ridiculous. And it just shows they're having fun. And that's why people tune in.
They do. No, they're looking very exciting indeed. I just want to quickly bring up, this is the stat that I was trying to remember before, but I couldn't remember it.
Yep.
Buddy Hield,
back on Bud,
in his first 400 games has made more 3-pointers than any other player in NBA history. So
what's his percentage?
No percentage here, unfortunately, but he's had 1,205 3-pointers in his first 399
So he's making
games.
about 3 a game, which is really, yeah, there you go.
Next best player is Steph Curry, 1,121, followed by Clay and Dame. Yet, because he's on such an goddamn awful team, he does not get the credit that he probably deserves, because when it's all said and done, he'll probably go down, like he's on the rate to go down as one of the best 3-point shooters of all time, if he can keep it up.
Can he keep it up? That's the question. A different change of scenery would be certainly exciting for him. Phoenix, check out our recent post on our Instagram, Facebook this morning. Drop that one. I know it was last night, should I say. But Phoenix, 10th game, longest winning streak in the league. They won their 10th game the other day in a row against the Mavs, Doncic's Mavs.
Yep.
They play them once again today, so could potentially make it 11 wins on the trot. But they've got 10. After a slow start to the season, they are looking the business once again. DeAndre Ayton's now back. Blessing for my fantasy team.
Yeah.
But they're looking good, aren't they? Can they go one step further this year than what they did last season?
I think they're more than capable of definitely returning to the finals, and then who knows what happens after that. But they're another team. We talk about the Warriors having their swagger back. The Phoenix Suns, to begin this season, they had no swagger whatsoever. They came out of the gates very slow, but in saying that, I think most people knew in the back of their heads that this was a sort of a regularity, and we thought that they would return to the Phoenix Suns that we saw last year, and that's what they've definitely done. They've been impressive lately.
Lee, for yourself, do you think they can climb the mountaintop?
I think so. Just like this streak really reminds me of where the switch was in the Phoenix Suns over the last 2 or 3 years. It was that the bubble play-in, or just before the play-in.
Yeah, where they went, was it 8 and zip, and nearly made the playoffs there. Yep.
But you just love seeing them go on a run. They do have their swagger back. They're playing with so much confidence.
The West is really, like, you could safely say Golden State are leading the charge, and the real pace setters for the league at the moment look incredible. But after that, the West is so open.
It is.
The Nuggets are hit and miss. The Lakers, who should be up there, are hit and miss. The Mavs are up there, yet they're not playing like a team that's reflective of where their position on the standings are. The Clippers are making their way up without Kawhi. It's a very, very open landscape at the moment, so it's certainly exciting. I can't wait.
Oh, me too.
The playoffs this year are going to be amazing for both conferences. It's the first time in quite a while. Like the East, we've alluded to over the last couple of seasons, but the West is here and the East are catching up. It's really even.
I'm probably more so looking, I know it's early stage in the season, but the East more so this year, because a couple of the really strong contenders from last year haven't performed as well to begin the season, like the Bucks and the Hawks. And obviously the Celtics have been very ordinary as well. So I don't know.
Look at the Hornets and they're sitting 5 in the East. Like, they're going well.
I don't want to bash them, but I don't have as much faith in the Hornets.
For what?
I
go for them?
No. No, I just don't know what it is about them. Like, I'm just not sold on them yet.
I don't doubt that they need a couple more pieces, but geez, they've been looking good.
They've looked better lately. They've looked better. It's kind of coincided since Terry Rozier came back in the lineup. So
and PJ's yet to come back.
Yep.
You wait.
Watch. Make us a believer, Lee. Make us a believer. So
could you imagine if Charlotte won the championship? We would.
I tell you what, if Charlotte win the title this year, you can record it straight down the street there. I will streak up and down.
I'll hold you to that.
Bloody oath. If they do, you just, no qualms whatsoever paying up for that one. But it would be certainly a stunning surprise.
Lee has to get a scary Terry tat as well.
I'll do it.
He will. He's got the tats now. You've broken the ice. Once you got the first one, they'll start flowing now. On the back, big back tattoo.
And it'll be in the era where he had the massive mutton chop sideburn.
It'd be a flex move. Getting the tattoo next week saying Hornets title 2022. Big flex move. Big flex move. Yeah, I'm all for it. Lads, anything else you want to mention from the week that was from the NBA? A little speed round there?
No, not really. But I'll tell you what.
How fun is it?
This bad boy's gone down very, very well, I will say. Big
shout out once again to Shine for the hookups for this week's episode. Hopefully a little more news on a developing situation next week. We've mentioned it over the last couple of weeks. There's something brewing in the pipeline, and it's starting to gain some traction here. But once again, we certainly appreciate the hookup for today's episode. Just phenomenal. Just I don't want to give too much away, but we will talk about them more certainly next week and hopefully the coming weeks after.
Absolutely. Yep.
Lads, that's awesome. Morning podcast in the books. It's, need to wrap this one up. We've got a big game going on as we speak. The Lakers and Celtics row. Both of us are itching for a win as we speak. It's dire times, isn't it?
It is dire times. LeBron likely to be back for this game. So I don't know. I hope we win this one, but I reckon you guys might get up, unfortunately.
There you go. Brilliant. Guys, next week, I think we're going to be looking at doing a bit of a more of a focus on the NBL next week, doing a couple of season previews. The season will start, or the regular season, the week after. So a lot to get into there. Jack Jumpers making waves, marching towards their first official NBL game. A lot to look forward to. So I reckon that's the plan for next week.
Absolutely. Okay.
Guys, be sure to subscribe, like, comment, whatever you do, all that great stuff for us. We really appreciate the support. Awesome stuff, guys. Stay tuned for all the latest news and information throughout the week. We can't wait to come back with another massive episode next week. Till then, love you. Bye.